Segment 2, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. We're real big on community policing, caps24.org. This Tuesday, August 2nd, National Night Out. We're going to be doing stuff throughout the neighborhood. You can check in with community policing in the 24th District at 312-744-6321. You can also check me out on Facebook. Caps24.org might have stuff, might not. I would definitely call the 24th District. The rest of the city, call 311 or Facebook me, not the rest of the city, just 24th District. It is a pleasure to have somebody I've gotten to know over the last year. A very interesting person, very multi-talented. He is the Senior Director of Governmental Affairs and Public Policy for the Chicago Realtors Association, as well as an ambassador guide for my favorite baseball team, the Chicago Cubs, and that is Brian Bernardoni. How you doing, Brian?
Very good on the first time.
Well,
that's not bad.
I try. Anyway, no, our Cubs logo, you can't lose with that stuff.
No, I think I've gotten a few business cards that over my career, and I'll tell you, I'm very proud of the Realtor business card I have with the Chicago Association of Realtors, but the Cubs one was probably something I've wanted since I was 9.
Well, that is something extremely cool.
Yeah.
Extremely cool. But you know what? We have limited time, and let's talk about you pick the subject. Go ahead.
We can talk about anything, but I think real estate in Chicago are always synonymous. The city was built on the shoulders of a lot of big thinkers in real estate, and I think real estate will still be an important part of Chicago's recovery in this time where we still kind of call it a recession, and we're going to help pull it out.
No, that sounds good, and it's important. So what is it? I mean, you represent a whole bunch of different people with varying interests. I mean, the needs of one landlord may not be the needs of another, and you've got such a wide variety of things going.
I represent 13,000 real estate professionals in Chicago, from realtors who are selling homes in your community, to realtors who are leasing spaces in your community for apartments, to realtors who are working larger commercial deals, trying to help develop and foster business on Devon and on Western Avenue and places like that. So we have a lot of different areas within real estate well covered.
Wow. Now, so I imagine there's got to be legislation involved in these things. I mean, these
very
days.
Much so. Yeah.
So I mean, what are some of the needs? I mean, people talk about tenants' rights, but people don't realize that landlords have rights too.
Well, landlords have to be paid. I mean that's a big part of what goes on right now.
Otherwise, you kind of lose your building.
Yeah, you lose a building, and the worst thing I think that's happening in this economy right now is that I think there's a perception that those who are owning buildings are doing just fine, and we don't have to worry about those folks. But as you know, because of your great involvement in CAPS over the years, you lose a building, you lose tenants in a building, you have squatters that come into those buildings.
Right.
And if landlords, landlords need to be partners with CAPS to help controlling it, but there's a lot of different rules about getting folks out of bad buildings if they're bad tenants that are bumping into some of the more technical issues within the Chicago Residential Landlord Tenant Ordinance, for example. There are rules out there that make it very clear that if you have a bad tenant, you're supposed to be empowered to remove those folks. But on the other hand, there are so many protections within the Chicago Residential Landlord Tenant Ordinance that it's not easy to remove a bad tenant.
It's months and months and months. And in the case of CAS, when we have a bad building, like for instance, some of the buildings that, well, you know what, I'm not going to get into our state center representing bad landlords right now. But the fact of the matter is that, you know what, if you've got somebody who's doing drugs in a building and you want to get them out and they're dealing drugs over there, it's going to take you at least 6 months.
Yeah, it's not an easy process. And what we work with is we work with landlords to make sure that they're fully aware of what they can do. But we also work with tenant organizations. There are concerns about there are equal concerns about landlords that may be running bad buildings, and I can tell you that the Chicago Association of Realtors is not interested in representing those who don't follow the rules, that are shirking the laws, that are making buildings unsafe, and we work with not only those groups, but perhaps most importantly the Chicago City Council to make sure that the laws that we are crafting are fair to the tenants and also fair to landlords.
Yeah, no, it's important. I mean, it's a pendulum that's got to swing both ways. I mean, I'm a walker, so just about one building per block in some areas are vacant, and they're usually 2 and 3 flats, and that's, that means somebody's doesn't have a place to live, not collecting the rent. You've got other problems too when buildings become vacant. We've got a vacant house next door, and all of a sudden we've got more mice than we have ever had around here.
Oh, sure.
So just from people not taking care. So there's all sorts of problems. You have a blessed event coming, don't you?
Yeah, I have a daughter. I have a daughter due in 2 weeks. We're real excited about it. It's daughter number 4 for me.
Wow. So
I have a 13-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a new one on the way.
Wow, and as we say in Italian, mazel tov.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
And you know what? I want to talk about the Cubs thing, too.
Sure, I'd love to talk about that.
That is so cool. I mean, somebody who's actually got a for real Cubs logo. And, running tours in Wrigley Field.
Yeah, I've been working for the Cubs for 14 years, giving tours over at Wrigley Field. It's something I always offer people up to do. It's a great opportunity if you've ever wanted to sit in the dugout or walk around the warning track, see the Cubs locker room, see the visiting locker room. It's something you can very easily go to at
We'll
charity.
have to talk about money. So.
Okay, well that's fine, but it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
People should take an opportunity to do it.
No, I think it's very cool. And hey, listen, I've been going to Wrigley longer than I care to admit. So
this is one of those seasons where a lot of folks are trying to figure out what's happening at the ballpark.
Well, at least when I started going, at least Billy Williams was a rookie, and I was a little kid.
Well, Billy Williams actually gave me some great advice about being a dad to daughters. Billy has 4 daughters as well, and when Billy and I talked about that issue, he was the first one to reach out to me and say, if you're a good man, your daughters are going to find a good man. And it can't be better advice than that coming from a Hall of Famer.
I'll tell you a Billy Williams story, but we don't have time for it on the air, but I'll tell you afterwards. Billy Williams is my favorite player of all time.
He's a class act.
Definitely
on
class
and off
act,
the field.
and one of the great hitters. I mean, anyway, and I even bought tickets before the year when I figured out what day he was going to break Stan Musial's longevity record, and I had box seats right by the bullpen, not far from him. In any event, Bernardoni, did I say that right? Bernardoni. Bernardoni.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Chicago Realtors Association. Do people want to contact you and find out more about things like that?
www.chicagorealtor.com.
www.chicagorealtor.com. I want to thank you so much for coming. I hope you'll grace us again when we'll have more time to talk about various issues. Because today's an introduction. It's a whole interesting field that needs to get fleshed out so people will know both sides of the deal.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
Brian,
for having
and all
me
the
on the
very
show.
best.
Thank you.
My pleasure.